Hey everybody, my name is Taylor Glenn, and this is my channel Taylor Tries, where I try new things and I try to teach you new things. And today I'm going to teach you some more Claymotion basic tricks with 3 balls. The tricks we're going to cover today are thumb drops, thumb pops, and the Claymotion Cascade, and the Claymotion Box. This video is made possible thanks to the members of my Otter Club over on Patreon. Thank you all so much. As members of my Patreon, you not only help me out and make this video free for everyone else, but you also get extended versions of many of my tutorials. In the extended version of this tutorial, I'm going to teach you a fun Claymotion trick that is a combination of all the other moves you're going to learn that is personally one of my favorite moves to do. For just $2, you get access to that and all of my other extended tutorials as well. If you stumbled across this tutorial and have no idea what Claymotion is, you should go watch my first tutorial on Claymotion basics. In that tutorial, I cover what Claymotion is, how it got its name, some of the terminology that we use when learning Claymotion, and all of the basic tricks I recommend you learn first. I will say that Claymotion is a very accessible type of juggling. Anyone can learn it, even if you don't know how to juggle the 3-ball cascade. Basically a style where you start and stop, and you focus on motion or movement. It's one of my favorite styles of juggling, and I highly recommend you go learn those basics. If you've already watched that tutorial and you know those basic tricks, welcome to this one. We're gonna cover some more basic tricks that you can learn, and it should be really fun. So in the previous tutorial, we mostly focused on what we call the bounce tricks, which involves the basic Claymotion move called the bounce. That's where we're throwing a multiplex and continuing like that. You should already know how to do that, hopefully. We're actually gonna start with a new type of Claymotion trick that isn't related to the bounce, and that involves thumb drops and thumb pops. That's what we call them in Claymotion juggling. So I actually want you to just drop 1 ball for now. We're gonna start with 2, and I'm gonna teach you the basic thumb drop. Now normally in the bounce, we're throwing both of these up and they're splitting, right? That's the base of the bounce. But with thumb drops, we're only gonna be throwing 1 ball. Or rather, we're going to be dropping 1 ball. We start the same way we did before, with 1 ball between our thumb and our index finger in our thumb pocket, as we call it, and the other ball up in the rest of our fingers in the pinky pocket or the finger pocket, depending on who you ask. And now to do a thumb drop, we're going to literally drop the thumb pocket ball. All you're doing is letting go of your thumb and your index finger. Now next, I want you to put your thumb on this other ball and move it into that thumb pocket. We did this in at least one of the beginner tricks in the other tutorial. It's gonna be very important for something like thumb drops. So again, we start here, we drop the thumb pocket, then we put our thumb on the other ball, move it over into the thumb pocket, and now, just for now, we can put this ball into that spot. So now try that again. Drop, move over, put the ball back. Now we can start speeding it up. As we drop the thumb pocket ball, we're going to simultaneously move our thumb over to that other ball. So we're gonna do them at the same time. So when you're letting go of that ball, you're putting your thumb on that other spot. Boom, and moving it immediately over. So you can start getting a little faster at that, like that. This is going to be really helpful for a lot of tricks going forward in Claymotion, but at its core, it's essentially called a thumb drop when you're dropping that thumb pocket ball. Thumb drop. Now let's pick up a 3rd ball and put it into the pattern. So we're going to start just like we do with the bounce, 2 balls in one hand, 1 in the other. Again, whenever we have 1 ball in the other hand, we want to be holding it in that thumb pocket between the thumb and the index finger so that our fingers are nice and open to get another ball. You start in this neutral position, just like we did with the bounce, but now we're going to pull this hand over, the hand with 2 balls, you're going to cross it over the top of the other ball, and as we do that, we're going to drop the thumb drop. Boop. And then we move this ball over, and as I move this ball over, I'm going to uncross my arms. Now I'm on the other side, so we're going to cross our arm, and as we cross, we drop the thumb pocket, and then I put my thumb on this other ball, and then as I move it into the thumb pocket, I open my arms. Now we're back where we started. So cross, drop, move the ball over, uncross. You're sort of dropping the ball as you're moving your arm across your body. As with most Claymotion tricks, this might feel really simple and kind of silly. That's okay. Eventually, we want to start speeding it up and getting some of that motion and style that we do with clay motion. So what we can do is treat it kind of similar to a bounce with a rhythm, up, down, up, down. So as we're pulling this hand across, it'll go up, down, up, down. So we're sort of lifting this arm as we're dropping the ball and then moving this ball into that catch. So boom, up, down, up, down. That's the style and motion that I personally choose to do, but you can add whatever sort of style you want to that. Sometimes I will drop that ball and sort of turn this hand and put it in line, so it creates this very contained feeling. Sometimes I'll really accentuate that thumb drop. You can also do that same exact move very vertically. Instead of across, you can just drop it down. And that creates a very different look. But it's all the same thing, it's a thumb drop. So we're just dropping that ball into the other spot. And the way you can double check to make sure you're doing your thumb drops correctly, every time you're dropping a ball, it's a different color. So you wanna be careful not to be catching the thumb drop into the thumb pocket, because then essentially you're going to drop the same ball every time. Now you can do that, there's no rules, but it's not as good looking. It's also harder in my opinion. It's much easier to catch in the pinky pocket than it is to catch in the thumb pocket. So just remember, after you drop the ball, as you're uncrossing or moving back, you're going to move the ball back. And that starts to happen sort of subconsciously. And then you can get really fast with it. And that's thumb drops. There's a lot of freedom with that trick because only one ball is ever really moving at a time. So you can just get all sorts of fun with it and play around with the look. Yay, one trick down. Look at you, just the clay motion master. Next, we're going to learn thumb pops. So if a thumb drop was when we dropped the ball from that thumb pocket, a thumb pop would be when we pop the ball up from that thumb pocket. It's literally the opposite. So drop versus pop. So again, let's start with 2. So we start in our base position. To do a thumb pop, you're going to tilt your hand up, sort of turning it vertical. And as you do that, you're going to let go of the thumb ball into the other hand. I'm sort of pushing with my thumb and my index finger to create that distance, but you can just, to start, sort of tilt it over and let it fall. There's nothing wrong with that. The way that you get more distance is to create more of a pop with your fingers. You can literally throw and slam that ball to the other hand if you want. So now next, we're here. As you bring your hand back, I want you to do that same thumb movement and push the other ball into the thumb pocket. So we're here, thumb pop, move it back, and then you can replace it. So when you first start, you can sort of count with it. Pop, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then as you start getting faster, we can start turning it into a 2-beat pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2. So what's happening is we throw, and then as we're moving this hand over, we're going to put that ball back. This is one of my favorite fidget tricks. It's extremely fun to do. It's very good for your hand dexterity. That is basically a thumb pop, when you're popping the thumb ball over the other one. And again, that thumb pop really comes from turning that hand over and propelling it into the other one. If you feel okay with that, it doesn't have to be as fast as I can do it. If you can just get the motion and come back, let's pick up a third one. We're gonna start again in our base position. Now, all we're gonna do is push this ball into this spot. Ta-da! Now we open our hand back and move that ball into that thumb pocket. Now we're gonna do the other side. Boom. And then open up again. Boom. Boom. Open. So we're using the technique of thumb pops, which is where we throw that ball over the top, and we're doing essentially a cascade, what I like to call a clay motion cascade. Technically it's more like a reverse cascade, but whatever. There are no real official terms for a lot of clay motion tricks. I'm making most of them up. I think they make sense. And eventually we can get a little faster. That secret to that speed comes from, as you're turning this hand, you're also throwing that ball. So they happen at the same time. So you can go a little slower with it, where you pop, open, pop, open, or you can pop and pop at the same time. So this is a great trick if you're fidgeting and you're really bored. You can just practice it and get really fast at it. Now, one of my favorite stylistic things to do with this is to create sort of a figure 8 with it. This is my favorite way to do this trick. I just think it makes it look really cute. And I'm still doing the same thing, I'm just doing thumb pops, but as I'm dropping it, I'm sort of coming down into that drop. And that's where my motion comes from. But basically, that's a thumb pop, popping it over the top. And this pattern in Claymotion, I call the Claymotion Cascade. The next trick is what I call the Claymotion Box. It's very similar to that Claymotion Cascade using those thumb pops. So what we're gonna do is that same thumb pop that we did before, just like that. But now, as we do that, at the same time, we're gonna throw this ball here. So this is what the Claymotion Box looks like. So to do this, we're actually gonna break it down with one ball. So before, we did the thumb pop, right? It's pretty great. But now we're gonna have this other ball up in the air with this hand as we throw that pop. So what we do is we catch this ball in our pinky pocket, but we wanna quickly put our thumb here, move it over into the thumb pocket so that the other ball comes down into that pinky pocket. So it's here, move over, here, move over. You should feel comfortable with that moving over move now, but this trick in particular, you need to go pretty quick with it because there's a ball in the air. So with one, we can try to get that faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Even if you catch it here, there is still that sort of moving over. So you can catch it in that spot, but you're gonna have to turn your hand. So it's still gonna feel like a 1, 2. Doesn't matter if you catch it more up in that pocket already, there's still this like turning motion. Now we can pick up a second ball. Just 2, not 3. Okay, so we're here. Now we're gonna practice this throw as we do that thumb pop. So it's the same thing we just did, 1, 2, but now we're gonna throw this ball at the same time. So we're gonna do a thumb pop as we throw that ball, and then as it comes down, we move that other ball into the thumb pocket and catch the up ball in our pinky pocket. That might be hard for you, it's okay. So we throw, catch. Now the way I like to think about this is that the throw is happening as I catch, and then as it's coming down, that's when I'm moving the ball. So 1, 2, and here it's 1, 2, 1, 2. Then from here, do a thumb pop back, why not? Now let's try the other side, 1, 2. Again, the hardest part about that is having that coordination and speed to move that ball over so that you catch the other one in the pinky pocket. So, like that. And for me, it's up, down. 1, 2, 1, 2, thumb pop, 1, 2, thumb pop, 1, 2, thumb pop. Just work on this with 2. Once you feel pretty good with that, we can pick up a third one. You don't have to be perfect at it with 2, because with 3, it's pretty much the same. Okay, so now we have 3, starting in our neutral position, our bounce position. Now we're gonna throw this one up as we throw it over, just like in our 2-ball exercise. 1, 2, but now we have this one here. We're gonna do our thumb pop move and just bring it back. Now when you start, it might be up, down, open, up, down, open. But eventually, as you get more comfortable, those 2 hands are gonna happen at the same time. So we'll go up, down. As that ball is coming down and we're moving this ball over to catch it, I'm also opening up this hand. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that is the Claymotion Box. If you're using different colors like me, you can start to notice that the first ball that you're throwing as the thumb pop is going to be the same ball every time. So watch the orange ball. It's always going back and forth. It's very similar to the box, but much easier. So that's the Claymotion Box. Well, those are some more Claymotion tricks for you to start working on. If you're a member of my Patreon, the tutorial's not over yet. I'm gonna teach you this fun Claymotion trick that combines a lot of those moves we just learned. It's one of my favorite patterns to get into with Claymotion. You'll see it a lot in the stuff that I do, and it's just really fun and pretty. It's only $2. You get access to that one and all of my other extended tutorials. There's a link in the description, and it just helps me out. Either way, I hope this tutorial helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you want to see more Claymotion tutorials, let me know. I'll do my best to make some more, and I'll see you next time. Gonna do some Claymotion juggling, oh yeah. Nice, nice Lemon. Getting in on that groove. I feel a little weird sitting here. Hopefully it's not just like a, you know, I'm not gonna cross my legs like a lady, but hopefully it's not too awkward of an angle, just staring right at my seat, sitting down.